Set, go. Welcome everybody to this season's episode of the Behavior Movement. As always, I'm here with Lucas Niang, offensive tackle, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm Brett Yaris, your host and movement behaviorist. Today, we're going to continue on where we've been working with Lucas in our next phase of shaping and chaining his offensive tackle behavior. Today, it's all about inside pass rush moves. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on getting Lucas to throw the inside half of his body, and that's going to help us work on some of those inside pass rushes, okay? So Lucas got to hop in his stance for a second. I'm going to show you what I mean. Today, we're really going to work on getting Lucas to throw this inside part of the body, all right? So I'm going to take some high rushes up here to the outside hip and get him to turn and get the inside hand right up on me. Now, why are we doing that? Because that is something that Lucas has to do. He's got to respect the outside pass rush. He's got to respect and stabilize the outside edge. So we've got to make sure he's doing that. And because we're spending the day working on inside drills, we can't let Lucas get lazy, right? We can't let him just jump the drill and know it's inside, so he's just gonna keep working on inside pass rush moves. We gotta do a whole round of getting him respecting the outside so that he doesn't know when the inside's coming. Remember, the whole focus is latency, making sure that his response time is what it needs to be. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with that. Then we're gonna start to actually work the inside pass rush moves. We're gonna work on defending the spin move. Okay, we're gonna break that down into actually different links, 2 links of that. And then we're gonna work on up and unders and crossing his face and what he has to do with his body shape, what he has to do with his hands. So we got a whole packed episode today, a lot of stuff to get into. Gonna be a lot of fun. Let's line it up. Set, go. Set, go. Set. Go. Set. Go. Set. Go. All right, we just finished up our first round. Just really kind of like a warm-up round, getting Lucas to really throw that inside. Go back and really watch those 5 reps, and what you'll see is Lucas always throwing that inside hand. We're doing that because I actually want to put Lucas at a disadvantage. I want to make sure that the inside is getting thrown so that his hips and his shoulders actually turn to that outside, because now I'm going to challenge him to his inside once he does that. And what we got to test him on is his ability to respond and react to cover back on that inside. So the first thing we're going to do that today is we're going to work on the spin move. You've seen some great spin moves in the NFL. Pass rushers like Dwight Freeney made it famous. You got guys like Brian Burns now, second-year player with the Carolina Panthers, has a great spin move, okay? And so these athletic pass rushers, they like to hit these big, slow offensive tackles with that move, and we got to make sure that they're ready for it. They respond to it correctly and they respond to it quickly. So the first thing we're going to do, we're actually going to break this individual move up into a movement chain. Now, we've talked about chaining all season long, and we've talked about it almost in the context of session to session, chaining each session to the next one. Today, we're going to chain the drill. So we're going to break down the spin move into 2 components. What Lucas has to do when he first realizes the spin is coming, and then what he has to do to respond to the full-on spin move. So we're going to break that down into 2 links of a bigger chain, and we're going to work the first link first. So what you're going to see is what we call forward chaining in behavior analysis, working from the beginning of a chain to the end versus working from the end to the beginning. So the beginning link of this chain is going to be what happens when Lucas sees the spin move coming. So I'm going to challenge him to his outside and get that outside hand thrown. What Lucas has to realize is when this outside shoulder pulls away from the strike, pulls away from the hand, it opens up for the spin. When that happens, Lucas has to use his leverage to gain ground away back inside. Why are we going to do that? Because the full movement chain will be when I complete the spin move, boom, complete the spin, he bumps inside, now I turn, look how much space is between us, because he gained more body position and leverage. So the key criteria for this first link, this first part of the drill, is going to be for Lucas to get the space inside. The hand's going to come here, it's going to pull away, he's got to get the space there. If we don't see that happen, no good. 5 consecutive reps that are correct, and then we'll be able to move on to the next link of that movement chain. Let's line it up. That's it. Go. That's it. go. Good. Set, go. Set, go. Set, go. Good. Hey, look at this for a second. You'll see right here is where contact was made. Lucas took his strike, I pulled that shoulder back, and he gained space, okay? On the previous reps, what was happening, Lucas was coming, I was getting the strike point here, and then on the turn, he was staying lateral on his line, on his plane. Either one is okay. In fact, after the rep, spoke with Lucas about it, okay? Either one is fine. You know what it comes down to is extension, his arm extension. You're not gonna get perfect extension every single rep, okay? And there's advantages that arm extension gives you. One of them being space, keeping somebody out, like a jab in boxing, right? Throw that jab, get a full-on extension, keeps body space between you and your opponent. So, those first couple reps that we did of this drill, okay, Lucas maintained his lateral plane. Strike came, and then when I pulled back, he stayed on that line. Why? Because on the strike, he got extension, full extension. There's space between us. When I go to spin and I land, there's still space between us if he stays on his line. In that last rep, Lucas wasn't able to get full extension. The strike came in here, not as much space between us. When I pull back, now what he's got to do is jump back. He's got to get on a 45. So now when I complete my spin, now there's space between us and he can take it in. That is how we talk about the impact of environment, how you respond to the stimuli going on around you. Not just in what I do, but in what your own body does. If his arm gets extension, he has to respond one way. If he doesn't get extension, he has to respond a different way. And you have to have the awareness in that moment-to-moment rep to be able to do that. And that's what sets the elite athletes apart from everybody else. And that's what we're doing here at the Behavior Movement. That's it. Go. Set, go. All right, so you just saw us complete the first link of that movement chain. We're about to add the second one. Remember, in that first link, the cue was his arm extension. That was the key. That was gonna determine if he was gonna jump back with space or if he was gonna maintain his lateral line, all with the process and the results being keeping space between us so he can react and respond accordingly to my spin move. Now we're gonna add the second link of that movement. We're actually gonna start the drill at this point. Arm extension, and we're also going to do non-arm extension, and that jump, that set is going to be varied according to that. But now what's going to happen from here is I'm going to hit the spin move, and what we have to see what the criteria is, his hands have to be reversed. Inside hand high, outside hand low, inside shoulder up and elevated with the hip, outside shoulder and hip declined. Okay, that's what we're looking for in this second link of the chain. We get 5 reps good on this, then we're gonna put the whole thing together and run it live. Let's line it up. Set, go. Go. Sit, go. Go. All right, so we just finished doing one link and a second link, working the spin move counter. What you got to see in both regards is the importance of Lucas getting space between us. Here's the reason why. When I coach the spin move to the defensive ends that I work with, the pass rushers that I work with, what I like to tell them is that outside shoulder after the strike, when I take this elbow, I want you to take that outside elbow and I want you to turn and drive it down into the inside arm, inside hip of the offensive tackle to wall him off. Well, when I'm working with offensive tackles, I tell them that secret. I give it to them. I let them know, because you know what the counter to that is? Space. If we are separated at the completion of my spin move, there's nothing for me to drive my arm down into, okay? And when I can't drive my arm down into anything, I don't have that leverage, that ability to use that and whip around the edge. And so we help the offensive tackles get space when they recognize that the spin move's coming. So what you're gonna see now in this drill is the full spin movement chain. You saw the beginning link, you saw the concluding link. That's forward chaining. Now we're gonna put the chain back together and run it live. All right, we're gonna get 5 consecutive reps. We gotta see arm extension, we gotta see space, we gotta see everything from body shape and hand placement to make sure that Lucas got 5 consecutive correct responses. At the conclusion of that drill, we will end today's session and episode with a free-for-all, where we're gonna randomize. We're gonna do 10 reps this time. Every free-for-all y'all have seen so far has been 5 reps. We're gonna do 10. And it's gonna be random outside pass rush moves and then the full-on spin move, okay? We'll check that out. First, let's get the spin move down. Let's line it up. Set, go. That was great. Set, go. Ate me up. Go. Set, go. All right, we've made it up to my favorite part of every session is our free-for-all. All right, this is when it's live all the way through and it's completely random. All right, this is where we really focus on latency, we focus on environment, and we're really testing Lucas's fluency, and we're testing his ability to respond correctly at the right times. When we talk about fluency, a lot of times we think about fluency in the terms of language. We think of like being fluent in Spanish or French or whatever, but being fluent in anything means you're doing it both quickly and accurately, right? So if you're fluent in Spanish, you're speaking it quickly and you're speaking it accurately. If you're fluent in French like Lucas is, you're speaking it quickly and you're speaking it accurately. In the case of movement, in the case especially in this particular instance, football movement, fluently means he is doing it, he is seeing it, and he's responding correctly, quickly, and accurately. If he sees the long arm, he responds the right way. If he sees the spin move, he responds the right way, and he does it quickly, and he does it accurately. So fluency is also a very important key word in behavior science, and you're gonna hear that more and more as we get to these higher level, next level tiers of what we're working on with Lucas here at the behavior movement. Now for the free-for-all, 10 reps, randomized. Could be any type of outside move that we've already worked on. If you've been following us from the beginning, that's club rip, that's double swipe, long arm, bull rush, chops, all that stuff. Any one of those can be what we do here in this free-for-all. And we're gonna add the spin move. All right, the spin move is an inside counter. The spin move is never a primary pass rush move. Okay, you're only using the spin move as a pass rusher if you think and you know, and you better know, otherwise your coach is gonna yell at you, you better know that the tackle is jumping you hard to the outside and you wanna use that against him by spinning back inside, okay? And so that's why we're doing this free-for-all, because we're gonna get Lucas really having to respect the outside pass rush, and then I'm gonna throw some spins in there as counter moves, and we're gonna see if he is responsive correctly and accurately, if that latency time is very small and that fluency rate is very high. That's what we're doing right now to end today's session of the behavior movement. Let's line it up.
Playing without defense to start.
Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. The flash gets me every time.
The double swipe works, bro.
It works if you land it,
Yeah.
but your flash, when you flash that hand, it just when you have it in your mind that I'm double swiping this rep. That's my strategy. The tell is the hand. So when I see it flash, it's just an instinct to swing at it. And then there's nothing more humiliating than when I swing at it and don't hit anything. So, that's it. Go. The second you hit that, I don't know if you saw it, but like I got like weak in the knee. Like it hit here, and I was going club rip here. So you hit me as I went the club, and my knee buckled on the.
I saw your shoulder go back, but I didn't see.
That was from that. Yeah, my knee buckled in. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Because the response for the long arm from Lucas is so different than the other moves. And when we throw the long arm in these randomized free-for-alls, to see Lucas respond correctly and quickly, fluently, is great. It's such vindication that the teaching, the methodology, the behavioral coaching is taking, which is great.
Yeah.
That's why I love to see it. Love to see it. Here we go. Let's keep it going. Ready, set, go.
I ain't get one side to get space.
That's right. That's right. See that? And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That's why we do it. When I went and took that outside, he's got to respect that outside, right? It's not always so easy when you don't know what's coming to get the extension you want to get. He didn't get extension on that rep. Hit him with the spin move, had to jump back to get space. And when I finished my spin, he ate me up. And that's how you know, guys. I mean, that's what this is all about. When you want to know if behavioral science can be applied to football coaching, look no further than seeing how we take the drill work and it immediately applies to the drill and it becomes behavior. It becomes a natural instinct, a response that comes at the right times when it's needed. That's money.
I would have been beat if I didn't go backwards.
Okay, set, go. Set, go.